Welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Shibley, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and I'm on a 1 million pound mission. Now, I've personally lost over 100 pounds, and I've applied what I've learned from my own transformation journey to help my hometown clients lose over 35,000 pounds in just 5 years. Now I'm on a mission to produce over 1 million pounds of results by delivering my best weekly tips, motivation, inspirational stories, and transformation strategies so that you can gain clarity about what you need to do to reach your goals and give you the confidence to take action. And the perfect time to start taking action is right now. So let's do this. This episode is brought to you by my free Defeat the Cheat support group. Just head on over to defeatthecheat.com and request to join. This is a free Facebook support group that I put together so that we can bring people together and we can motivate each other daily, share recipes, share tips, share top advice. All nutritional styles are welcome. All fitness styles are welcome. We just want to help support each other to be consistent and stick to our plan and achieve our goals. So head on over to defeatthecheat.com and we'll see you inside the group. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude. How's it going out there in podcast land? I'm fired up about this one. This is episode number 102, Crushing All Obstacles with Nick Santonastasso. Now, I've been privileged to interview some pretty damn cool people, really inspirational stories, but Nick's may be at the top of that list because, my goodness, has this young man overcome so much. He was born with a very unique condition called hand-heart syndrome with, I think he said 12 people have ever been diagnosed with this. He has one arm. His limbs were born underdeveloped, and he's just overcome everything that the doctors have basically said he would never be able to do. We talk about how he's basically formed a checklist of, okay, here are all the things the doctor said I would never be able to do, and he's out there doing them all, crushing it. He's a fitness model. He's a bodybuilder. He's out there independent on his own, driving. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I cannot wait to share his story with you. We talk about, at the end, I want you guys to pay attention closely because at the end we talk about the advice he would give to somebody that needs to flip the switch, that's been out there kind of feeling sorry for themselves, being a little bit beaten down by life circumstances, what we need to think, how we need to rewire our mindset and start crushing those obstacles that are in our way so we can start making progress, building momentum, and achieving our goals. So without further ado, here's episode number 102, Crushing All Obstacles with Nick Santonastasso. All right, Nick, I'm so fired up to have you here on the Million Pound Mission Podcast. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, brother. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
So you have one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard about. I've just binge watched your YouTube videos of you working out and just getting after it. And I can't wait to share my story with your story with my audience here. But let's kind of start at the beginning. And if you could just explain a little bit about hand-heart syndrome and how that has played a major role in your life and, you know, kind of made you who you are.
Yeah. So I was born with hand-heart syndrome. And so the doctors labeled me as that when they were doing the ultrasound. And, you know, they told my parents it doesn't look like some of his, you know, limbs are developing right. And, you know, so after birth, they labeled me with hand-heart syndrome. And what hand-heart syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And at the time of my birth, I was the 12th baby in the world that they've ever seen this happen to. And so they weren't sure if, you know, my organs were going to be affected. They knew my limbs, you know, were clearly not developing right, but they didn't know how well my organs were going to hold up. So, you know, they gave me a 30% chance to live. And I was born, and they did, you know, tests on the organs, and the organs were 100% healthy. So it was my limbs that were only affected.
Wow. So obviously, you know, from the jump, you got people telling your parents and then eventually you what you're not going to be able to do, right? And
Absolutely.
Putting those limitations, those barriers, and just from digging into your story and learning about what you've got going on, it seems like you're on a mission, almost like a checklist to start checking these things off. Like, yes, I will actually do these things. So how's your mindset been? Do you like have that master checklist of just proving people wrong, or how do you attack all those things when people say you're not supposed to be able to do this? What's your mindset around that?
Yeah, so like you were saying, so right off the jump, the doctors basically handed over a list to my parents and said, these are all the things your son won't be able to do. And, I always tell people that they have the same choice that my parents had in that section of their life. They could have did one of two things. They could have, listened to the doctors, right? They could have accepted that list and, shunned me away and kept me somewhere, or they could just, put me out there and see what I'm capable of doing. So I always, ask people, do you let the outside noise affect you? Do you let, the naysayers, the haters, whatever you want to call them? And in this case, it was doctors, right? So my parents, basically promised each other that they were going to raise me just like the other three siblings. I'm the baby. I have two sisters and one brother. And, they said, we're going to raise this kid just like the other kids. And what I mean by that is, my parents would put food in front of me and say, figure it out, or my clothes and say, figure it out, because they set me down at an early age, and this is why my mindset is the way it is because my parents sat me down and said, Nick, the world's not going to stop for you because you're born like this. Mom and dad are not going to be here always, and everything that comes into your life, whether it's a challenge, an obstacle, whatever it may be, that you're basically going to have to figure out how to do it Nick's way. So at an early age, my parents didn't, baby me. They put me into reality and they let me fall on my face. And I think that was extremely important to the man I am, today. The mindset I have is because from an early age, I started to realize that it's not can't. Things are going to be hard, but it's not can, it's just how. And I think that's huge because even in day to day now, adults, things come into your life. We have obstacles, we have challenges. And if we start looking at, approaching these obstacles and challenges with, okay, it's not can't, but how, that would help a lot of people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if we can focus more on the how versus the why not, that's a game changer no matter who you are. So with you and with your story, do you remember like the first huge obstacle that you overcame that you were like, okay, now I really believe that I can do almost anything? So was there a moment like that?
Yeah. I mean, one of the earliest things that I fell on my face a lot was, my brother just put me on a skateboard. And, I always tie in skateboarding to life is because there was a lot of, falling on my face with the skateboard before I could ride it to my full potential. Right. So my brother put me on a skateboard and he put me on my stomach. So basically riding it like a surfboard. And then that got easy and I wanted more. I wanted progress. I wanted to go faster. So I finally realized how to sit upright on the skateboard and pedal with my arm. And I was faster that way. And then I realized, I need more. And like I said, we're always just as humans, we love the feeling of progression. And finally, I said, Mom and Dad, come outside. I learned something new. And I was doing like a handstand, on the skateboard while I was going down the street. And, they were just like, blown back. And I feel like, I tie that into life because, everybody, when you post videos or anything, people see like the finished product or where you are at currently, but they don't see how many times you fell on your face. Right. So that's how that skateboarding was like one of the first things where, I fell a lot, but I realized, practice and repetition and just keep trying it and actually having, a passion to do it. The progress just comes.
Now, one of the coolest videos, well, there's two videos that I love that you put out that I kind of saw a medley. And one is you are out there wrestling. You're competing, you're wrestling. And so tell me about that a little bit, because that's just super impressive. And you're getting after it. Like you're not out there messing around. Like you were out there to win. So let's talk about wrestling a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So wrestling got tied into the picture when I was in middle school. I got into middle school and I got into high school, and it was a big slap in the face for me realizing how different I was. And I always tell people that middle school, high school for kids is probably the most judgmental times, of their lives. So I finally realized how different I was. And I was in this state of just asking why, why me? Why am I born like this? Why do I have to go through all these obstacles? And I got to the point where I was depressed. I hated the fact that I was born in this body. I was disgusted with myself. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to look into a mirror. And I needed to find something that was going to fulfill me. I needed to find something that was going to make me feel better about myself, feel more comfortable with my skin. And when I got into high school, all my best friends were wrestlers. My older brother wrestled for the same high school, and he graduated. So, wrestling was always just there. I knew of it. And, I looked up to people that were athletes. And I said, I said to myself, well, if I could become a wrestler, if I could become an athlete, be a part of a team, and wrestling, I thought it was one of the most badass sports. It was just like so physical and everything, and I was like, wow, I want to do this. And my friends were like, why don't you try out? And I said, my arm. And at the time, my right limb was a little bit longer than it is now. It was about 5 inches longer than it is now, and my bone was growing faster than the skin. So I was in a lot of physical pain. I couldn't really touch my arm on anything. If I would have hit my arm hard enough, the bone would have probably come through the skin. So, I came home one day and I said, Mom and Dad, I want to be a wrestler. This is something that I really want to do. And they said, Nick, you can't, your arm, wrestling is the most physical activity. God forbid, you hit your arm and the bone came through. And I said, can we amputate it? Can we do something about it? And, they kind of just like, we're shocked a little bit. And I said, this is something that I really want to do. Can we find out more information on it? Can we go ahead and, do this amputation? And that's what it led to my sophomore year. I got my arm amputated. They did a skin graft. So they lasered the bone off and pulled skin from, higher up and basically gave me a cushion. So I wasn't in any pain anymore, so I could bang it up. And that's when I tried out for wrestling. And I tried out my junior year. And, in high school sports, you have your JV and you have your varsity. So my junior year, I was JV, and I told my friends, beat me up, don't hold back on me, beat me up go as hard as you can, because I'm not going to be able to become the best wrestler, I can be. I'm not going to be, find out what I need to learn if everyone's babying me all the time. And that's the same approach, with my parents, right? I wouldn't be able to become the human I am today if my parents always babied me and did things for me. So it's like the same, system. So I was like, beat me up. And, I got my butt kicked that whole entire year. And in between my junior year and my senior year, I got in the gym a little bit. I knew I needed to be a little bit stronger. And my senior year, I came out as the 106-pound varsity wrestler for my high school.
Wow.
And I can keep going unless, there's more, but I can keep going.
No, keep going, man. Keep going.
Yeah. So my senior year, I came out as the varsity spot, and, I was on the mat, and I was doing better than I was last year. I had my senior year, I had, I think, 2 or 3 wins. I was like 2-17, but it was more wins than I got the last year, so I didn't care. Right. And I was still trying to find my why, and I didn't understand why there was gymnasiums packed to watch me wrestle. I didn't understand why I would get standing ovations after, I lost, because I'm very competitive, and I'm like, you're not supposed to applaud losing. And then I came off the mat, and I had, a teacher or an adult come up to me, and they were like, crying, and I was like, what's wrong? They said, well, seeing you out there, my son or my daughter saw you out there, and they never wanted to do a sport. They never wanted to do an extracurricular activity. They're always in their comfort zone, and seeing you out there, they want to try all these things, and they were thanking me. And, that was my quantum moment. That was my, why moment. The answer to my why is, I wasn't even trying to impact people. I wasn't even trying to motivate people, and it was happening passively. So imagine, how many lives I could change, how many people I could motivate and inspire if I actually focused my energy on it. And, that was basically the answer to my why. I was put on this earth in this crazy situation, not as a bad thing, but to be an example, to show people the true potential when you really want something.
Dude, that's amazing. And I love that you use the term why, because I talk about that so much on this show. I always talk about how your why has to be bigger than all the why nots out there if you actually want to accomplish your goal. And I think you're a living example of that. And I just love I feel like so many of us are out there living, looking to be babied, looking to get preferential treatment, and kind of upset if we don't get that. And you're the exact opposite. With you're born with hand-heart syndrome, and there's you could make every excuse and it'd be valid, but you're out there going, no, treat me like everybody else. You can be harder on me because I am going to maximize my potential and inspire other people through action. So I think that's just amazing, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. I just, I always tell people, like, I just posted a video yesterday, and one of the things I said was we wouldn't know what the wins feel like if there was no losses. And I feel like so many people are just trying to run away from the losses, not trying to see any losses, but it's not just an uphill. You're not just going to go straight to the top of success or whatever it may be. It's a roller coaster. We need to embrace those lower times and pull from them, pull the perspectives, pull the knowledge, and the things that we're not going to do again to result in failure.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's just so awesome to see the progression that you've made and all this momentum, and I can totally see it now. I can hear it in your voice, all kind of spurring from that wrestling moment when you had your moment where you realized your why. And now I know you're doing a ton of stuff with fitness, like your workout videos. I mean, you're getting after it. And I love how I can see you're just trying to figure out the different ways to train all the muscle groups and adapting things to make it work for you and flipping giant tires by yourself. Like, I'm going to put a link in the show notes of you flipping the big ass tire because it's amazing. Absolutely. And you're getting after it. So let's talk about your workouts now, because right now you're doing some bodybuilding, some fitness modeling, things like that, and you're in top shape, man. You're in phenomenal shape. So what's your mindset around your workouts? What's your regimen look like? I want to kind of dive on that one a little bit.
Yeah. So when I started the fitness and everything, I had no idea what I was doing, and I needed, there wasn't like a guide for people with no legs and one arm to lift. So I had to basically go into the gym and just like trial and error, just figure out, what workouts work for me. What workouts can I hit that, are hitting both sides symmetrically because I want to build a symmetrical physique. And that's the one thing that I'm still learning and still, is catching up on as my symmetry. My right side still, lacks heavy compared to my left. So I'm still working on that. But yeah, it was just, going to the gym and figure out what works for me. And now that, I'm still learning each and every day, but I've kind of got a set routine. And, right now I'm currently 5 going into 6 months of my 1 year bulk. I stepped on stage last September at the Iron Bay Classic in Tampa, and that was my first men's physique show. I took third in novice, so I beat some able-bodied guys, which was pretty cool. And I didn't know any. Like I said, I always touch on this. I didn't know anything about men's physique. I didn't know anything about the posing, the routine, anything about it. But that's the thing, when you force yourself and throw yourself into an uncomfortable situation, you're forced to learn, right? You're forced to figure out what you need to do and implement it. So that was pretty cool. I did a 12-week prep for my show, and about 2 weeks out, I met The Rock along the way in Vegas, which was pretty awesome. And yeah, and he already knew who I was through my videos, and 20 minutes after that, I told him about my show. And then 2 weeks later, I was about to step on stage. It was about 20 minutes before prejudging, and he posted me on his Instagram, shouting me out. So that was pretty amazing. And at the end of the heartfelt caption, he thanked me for changing his perspective a little bit more on life, which was pretty nuts. And another big moment for me of just reassurance that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm going in the right direction.
Right.
But yeah, with the fitness stuff, right now, like I said, I'm about 6 months into my 1 year bulk. I want to gain a lot more size before I even plan on stepping on stage. But my regimen right now is I have a 1 day, 1 day of the week is dedicated to my arm, so bicep and tricep. And then I have a chest day, and then on chest day I'll also hit tricep because tricep is takes up more room of your arm. So if you guys really want big arms, you need big triceps. Just putting that out there.
Yep.
So I have 2 days for triceps, 1 day for chest, and then shoulders. I have a day for that, and then back. But right now with my off season, I'm trying to double up on back. I'm trying to get my back, pretty big. So right now my main focus on in this off season is just becoming more symmetrical, catching up my right side on everything, bringing up my back, because my back was, I can send you some pictures. My back was pretty amazing during my show. But like I said, I just need some size, man. I need to put some size. So I'm taking, the next 6 months, like I said, I'm in a year off season. So just time to grow and time to become more symmetrical.
Yeah, one of the things I found really interesting with your workout videos that I saw on YouTube were that you are very tuned into being symmetrical and working both sides. And so to kind of describe it verbally for the audience, like if you're doing flies, you have an apparatus where you're able to mount weights on to your arm, and then you have somebody kind of applying manual pressure on the right side. Is that an accurate description?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways I can go about training. So I think the reason why I'm such so on point with my form and so on point with becoming symmetrical is because when I first started lifting, we didn't lift my right side at all. We didn't know how. It was just me and my best friend going to the gym and throwing weights on the left side and just working out the left side. So,
right.
As I got into the industry and realized, okay, like I don't have a right pec. This needs to needs to change. So I have ways of, bench pressing where I slide plates on my left arm and then basically will mimic the amount of weight on my left side to my right side because I want to be pushing the same amount of weight. But mostly, and the thing we do the most and which is the most efficient is resistant. A lot of resistant training. So say I was going to do flies or, a seated press, whatever it may be, I can actually have, my trainer or my buddy, whoever's, with me, basically pushing on both of my limbs,
right.
and then me just, executing the movement at the same time, symmetrically. So just contracting the muscle at the same time. So for the viewers, my right arm is only about, a couple inches long. It's just like, it looks like a little potato. And basically, they'll push on like above my elbow on my left arm. They'll push against me on my left arm and push against me on my right arm. And basically I'll just say, harder or softer and, go through the motion of basically pushing the weight on both sides. So it's a lot of, pushing on me, a lot of pulling on me, a lot of resistance bands, but most importantly, just me keeping my form, isolating the muscle and basically hitting everything evenly. That's what I really focus on. So there are a ton of ways for me to lift. Like I said, from pushing on me, from pulling on me, from bands, resistant bands, you name it, we try it all.
I think that's so fascinating because like in my gym, I own a fitness facility too, and it's like minimal equipment. It's just barbells, weights, kettlebells, no machines or anything like that. And my trainers are always like, I like to sit back and watch you figure out how to mimic how to train a muscle where you normally use a machine. So I feel like we're kind of that kindred spirit of figuring out how to get that look and that muscle activation that we're looking for by using a different way. And I think it's so interesting. I think you should write a book on this just because it's or just do a YouTube documentary or something, because it's people can learn from all the adaptations that you're doing. And I just think just even the crossover symmetry and how to activate the right side to where it's catching up to the left side and even with the left side. I think it's so fascinating. So I will buy the book. I'll pre-order the book.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah.
It's super fascinating. Super fascinating. So with your workouts, talk about flipping the big tire. Cause I'm telling you, man, it's incredible. It's incredible. I have people that, that can't flip. We have tires that are, I've got one that's 175 pounds. I got one that's 275. And people don't even touch it. Like they won't touch it because they are intimidated by it. So talk about you getting under that tire and flipping it. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. So the tires started, I was visiting Tampa. I didn't live here yet. I was visiting Tampa and I was with a buddy and we were at this training facility and there were tires and they were messing around with one tire and, he saw me looking at it and I was like, I could lift that. Like I could totally get under that. And he's like, well, you want to try it? And I think at this point, this was either just like a 100-pound tire, 150-pound tire. And I was like, let me just try that. And I got under that tire and it was pretty easy. That was like cake. So that was a big deal. But like I said, it was just from me looking at it and be like, all right, I want to try that. And then The bigger tire, I think I was flipping. I think it was a 200 pound, a 200 pound tire. I got to go while I was currently living in Jersey. I got to go to one of the local CrossFit gyms, and they had a 200-pound tire, and I was like, I want to create a video. I would just want to flip this thing as many times as I can. I had no idea how many times I would be able to flip it. I was just like, all right, let's grab some cameras in case it was successful. And I would have someone just lift it up a little bit so I could get my arm under the tire, and then from there it just I was strong enough. So
right.
I got the first flip, and I was like, all right, let's just keep the momentum. And I flipped it for probably like 8 or 9 times before I gassed out. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Like I
that's
said,
awesome.
I was like, the 100-pound tire was easy, or whether my first one was 100, 150, I just was like, all right, what's the next step? I always want to push myself.
Right. I think that's something about your mindset that separates you from a lot of people. Most people is that you aren't sitting there intimidated by the big tire or the obstacle or the life challenge that's in front of you. You're sitting there thinking, how can I overcome this? How can I get better? How can I take that next step? So, I mean, how do you feel like that has benefited you throughout your journey? Just that mindset of, I mean, do you ever get scared about things anymore, or is it just like it's on? I'm gonna prove to myself and everybody else that I can do this.
Yeah. So my big thing is why not? So it's why not, and what that means is why not try that, and why can't I do that, right? So anything that I want to try, I'm going to try, because I don't want to never know, And I always tell people, even when I was getting on stage, I'm like, you have literally one life. Like, I know there are people reading my comments or reading my caption right now that are like on the edge of competing, like, oh, I don't know if I want to get judged on stage. No, just do it, because like I said, you only have one life. You can only try things for so long. So that's one of the things that is in my mindset, is just trying everything, because I want to live my life with more remember whens and less what ifs. And so that goes hand in hand with just pushing myself, always trying the next step, because if you're not progressing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, you're not really doing anything. And I think people get caught up in just in a comfortable situation, right? Let's just like relate it to fitness. You flip a 100-pound tire, you flip a 150-pound tire, and it's easy, but like, are you going to take that next step and push yourself and see if you can push a 200-pound tire? And I think that's what it is. Just people get really comfortable with being comfortable. And, they need to realize that, like I said, if you're not growing, if you're not progressing, if you're not moving forward, you're not winning. So I think that was just always for me, is like, what's the next step? How can I do better? How can I move forward? How can I get better? And I feel like people need to take the same outlook. Like I said, people it's easy for you to get comfortable and say, wow, I'm in a nice spot right now. But like, let's take it to the next level, is how you really continue your growth.
Yeah, they call it the comfort zone for a reason, because it's comfortable. But if we stay in there too long, like you said, we start regressing, and that's not where we want to be. So with all the obstacles that you've overcome, all of the things that you've proven you can do, and all the people you've proven wrong, is there anything that sticks out as kind of like the number one thing that you're like, you were the most proud of, or the most impressed with yourself being able to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So maybe I'll switch your question a little bit, because there's one thing that I attempted to do and I couldn't.
Okay.
I physically couldn't, and it was kind of like a whoa moment for me. So when I was like 15 and 16, I got fitted for prosthetic legs. And if you don't know, and for those who are listening, the less quad you have, the harder for you to operate prosthetic legs. And for me, I don't have much quad. I don't have much leg. And, at the time, being a 15, 16-year-old kid, I was out of shape, no muscle, like out of shape, not an athlete or anything. And I got into these legs, and at first they put me in little ones. Like, there was no knee, it was just stilts. And I would use those legs, and I would do like cardio in them, but they would also strengthen my quad. And then, I wanted to get into the bigger legs with the knees, like the full legs. I have full legs. And each leg, both legs, each, they weighed 7.5 pounds each. And, I could walk with a walker, but, I couldn't walk without. I could stand on my own, but I could only stand for so long. And, I finally realized that I just wasn't strong enough, like physically strong enough. I just couldn't do it. And I didn't get I haven't been in my legs in, 6 years, but as I've been lifting, I realized like, oh my God, the reason why I couldn't do the legs, the reason why it was just a big roadblock is it wasn't because I can't. It was just because I wasn't strong enough,
Right.
the little things like my obliques aren't developed fully, my abs aren't developed fully, my lower back that helps me stay upright, my quads weren't strong enough for me to move these legs. So it wasn't, when I was a 15-year-old kid, it was like, oh my God, I'm just not, I can't use these legs, right? But as I grew up and realized that I just simply wasn't strong enough, I realized that, if I can get my quads strong enough, that I'll be able to work in these legs. So that's one of the things that, I am doing right now is, I am just basically growing all of me, right? I have routines to work my lower back. I have routines to work my quad because eventually I want to get into the legs and crush them. So
That's awesome.
I know you asked if there was one thing that you did accomplish that was like, oh my God. Well, the first thing that came to my head was the one thing that kind of like slapped me in the face. If I kind of just like spun that question.
Yeah. And I've got no doubt, brother, that you're going to get in those legs and you're going to be, like you said, you're going to crush them. And that's so awesome, man. Now, that just builds onto your why. And that's just that next level of you proving everybody wrong. So that's amazing, Nick. I mean, you've got such an awesome story. And I know as people are listening in, they're going to want to follow your story. They're going to want to connect with you. What's the best way to follow your story on social media or just stay kind of plugged in to what you've got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my last name is super long, but if you go on Instagram and type in Nick Santo, Nick Santo, and if you type that in anywhere, I'll come up because my full last name is Santonastasso, and I just recently changed all my social medias to my full name so people can't, get it wrong. So
Yeah.
you can type in Nick Santo on YouTube. You can type in Nick Santo on Facebook. You can type in Nick Santo on Instagram, and my full name will come up. So just remember, it's the Nick with the super long last name.
And I appreciate, I told you before we went live on this, I appreciate somebody with a long, hard to pronounce last name because that's how mine is. So it's all good. We're special
absolutely.
people. So with, I know you're also doing keynote speaking. So how would is the best way, like if somebody's like, dude, I want to have this guy come in and speak. What's the best way to contact you for that?
Yeah, so the email for that is booking@booknicksanto.com. And, that will get redirected to my manager who, handles all my bookings. But yeah, we've been, speaking internationally. I'm actually going to Alaska next month to speak. I'm going to Cabo. We're going to Russia. So I just, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to travel to all these places and, get in front of people and share my story and, change people's perspectives on life and, just make a big movement.
That's amazing, man. And now if you're ever coming through the Midwest, you got to come work out with me at my gym, man. That's a given. That's a given, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. Now I got one
bigger tires.
Oh yeah, I've got a 275 for you. I'll go down to the tire yard. We our facility's just down the road from a tire store, so we can go and get whatever we need, brother.
Okay.
We'll rock it out. Now, I've got one last question for you before I let you go. Like I said, you have so much fire behind you, but I know a lot of people listening don't have that. And a lot of people are listening. They've kind of been in that spot where they feel sorry for themselves. They feel like they're saying that I can't a lot more than I can, like you do. So if you could look somebody in the eye, sit down that's listening and say, hey, we need to flip the switch a little bit. Like, what would you say to that person if you could grab a hold of them right now and look them eye to eye and give them a pep talk?
I would sit down with this person and I would say, whether they're feeling, whatever they're feeling, whether they're feeling sad or, feeling sorry for themselves, like you said, I think it starts with gratitude. Gratitude is one of the core values in my life, is one of the core values in my company. And what I mean by that, living in a state of gratitude, is each and every day waking up and being, starting your day off being grateful for the things that we forget, being grateful for the fact that we can feel the sunshine, we can feel the wind, we can go outside, we can run, we can do all these things, because the bottom line is, and I use this even when I'm feeling sorry for myself, when I'm down, because I don't always have, I don't have good days all the time. We have bad days, right? So the bottom line is, the things that we complain about on a daily basis, in the grand scheme of life, like, these things aren't problems. And, the other thing that we could think about on a daily basis is right now there is hundreds of thousands of people that would switch places with you in an instant. And if that isn't enough motivation and inspiration for you to get off and do whatever you need to do, I think about, the kids. There are kids right now, there are kids and adults who are stuck in wheelchairs for the rest of their life, or they're stuck in hospital beds that, look outside and say, man, I wish I could walk down the street, or I wish I could, live an active lifestyle. So I just think about, all the people that would switch places even with me, a kid with no legs and one arm. There are hundreds of thousands of people that would switch places with me in an instant because they just don't have it like we do. So I think it starts with, being grateful for the things we have, and realizing that, the things that we complain about on a daily basis, these aren't problems. We just put these things in our head and let them, become problems. So I just feel like, if people aren't feeling the best about themselves, or aren't feeling confident, that, I struggled with that. I thought, confidence was something that you were either born with or you didn't have it, but confidence is a skill, and I'm still crafting this skill. But I found confidence through doing things that I love to do, and using your emotions as a guide, doing things that make you feel good inside, because when things make you feel good inside, you just feel better. You just feel better about, yourself. You feel like you're an overall better person when you just do things that make you feel good. So I feel like there are a lot of people in this world that are just doing, they're working jobs that they hate, or, living lives that they don't want to live. And I just tell people, do things that make you feel good inside, make you feel fulfilled, because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So do things that make you feel good, and, realize that, confidence, feeling good about yourself, it doesn't just come overnight, that it's a skill. And, you got to work on yourself, personal development. So many people just go through life and they forget to work on themselves. We're the most important thing. We're the vessel of our life. So if we're not giving back to ourselves, making ourselves feel good, making ourselves fulfilled, we're not really going to get anywhere. We're going to be living this unhappy life.
Man, Nick, you just lit us up, man. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you,
I was just enjoying sitting back and listening to you just spit the fire right there for a second, brother. That was amazing.
I appreciate it.
And I just wanted to thank you. I'm grateful that we got introduced, that we got connected. And once I just started digging into your information, man, I'm like, this is something special. And I was so excited to share this message and your message and share you with my audience, because I know that it's what they need to hear right now. I know it 100%. And I'm just so proud of you for just accepting your life circumstances, the curveball that life threw at you, and taking it and running with it and saying, this is me and I'm special. And this is why I'm on this earth, and I'm going to make a difference and change other people's lives because of it. And I think it's just amazing. And I just thank you so much for spending some time with us here today.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on here and, babble and talk about my story.
You're a rock star, man. You're a rock star. So everybody that's listening in, I want to challenge you. Obviously, you can't listen to this and not be inspired. So pick one thing that Nick said, and let's take action on it in the next 24 hours and think, okay, Nick inspired me to get in and book a workout, or Nick inspired me to start mapping out my meal plan, or just start working out a little bit harder. Anything. Next 24 hours, I want you to take action so that we start building momentum. And then day in, day out, the momentum builds. And all of a sudden, we are on fire, just like my friend Nick Santonastasso. All right, everybody.
Let's do it.
That's right. We're fired up. Nick's gonna be there to inspire us the whole way. I'm here to hold you guys accountable. As always, I'm gonna get you out there and challenge you to own it every meal, every workout, every day. I will see you on the next episode. Hold up. You guys know I love to give stuff away, right? You know this. So let's give something away. If you guys are on Instagram, what I would love for you to do is take a screenshot of this episode, share it on your Instagram account, tag me, and let me know what your top takeaway was. I'm going to pick somebody that does that this week, and I'm going to give them a free 28-day pass inside my Transformed Academy. I am loving interacting and coaching these people in my academy. It's just an awesome experience. I upload new programs every 90 days to keep it spicy, to keep you guys and keep your bodies just plugged in and stimulated in new ways so we can stimulate new results. And we do coaching calls. We've got private accountability groups. It's super awesome. So tag me on Instagram. Let me know what your top takeaway was from this episode, and you'll be entered to win a free 28-day pass inside the Transformed Academy. Good luck.